Good afternoon, and welcome. I am very excited to be here with you all at Seattle Central Library to announce my proposal for a library levy. Seattle is a city of readers. From toddlers discovering their first stories to seniors finding connection and lifelong learning, our libraries belong to everyone. Investing in our libraries means investing in every community member and in the shared public spaces that help our city learn, grow, imagine, and thrive together. Today, my office transmitted to the Seattle City Council a proposed property tax levy that seeks to provide important and continued funding for Seattle libraries over the next 7 years. The library's current levy, passed by 76% of Seattle voters in 2019, expires at the end of this year and currently provides roughly a third of the Seattle Public Library's total budgeting authority. My proposed levy furthers Seattle's commitment to a world-class library system. The $410 million proposal will provide critical investments in hours and access, programming, collections, building maintenance and capital needs, and technology and online services through 2033. So what does this mean for Seattle readers and learners? Continued open hours at all 27 neighborhood branches. More physical books, as well as ebooks, audiobooks, and multilingual books for readers of every age. Expanded technology and online services to support learning, job access, and connection. Building maintenance and capital improvements to care for library spaces citywide. And additional facility and janitorial resources to keep our libraries safer, cleaner, and more welcoming for everyone. Seattle is a city of readers. We are proud to be one of only 2 UNESCO cities of literature in the United States, alongside Iowa City, and one of just 53 cities worldwide recognized for their vibrant literary culture. As Seattle continues to grow, now home to more than 800,000 residents, our libraries remain at the heart of community life. More than 600,000 Seattleites have a library card, and nearly 444,000 are actively using the system. That's actually amazing numbers. That's pretty incredible. I am a proud library system user myself. That's why, in addition to continuing the library's baseline levy funding, this proposal includes a new investment of $4.6 million for the library's collection. That is $2.2 million more for physical book titles to keep up with demand, and $2.4 million for more ebooks and e-audiobooks, which are increasingly popular formats for Seattle readers, but also increasingly expensive formats for libraries to carry. With this investment in collections, we commit to giving Seattleites access to knowledge and stories that fuel our imaginations. Our libraries provide the community with countless ways to learn, connect, and create. Each year, they host thousands of free programs for all ages, from story times and early literacy programs to author talks, workshops, and community classes. With the 2026 library levy, we are proposing to expand that access. With funding of $12.6 million, we will bring more story times to families, increase literacy and multilingual programs, and host and facilitate more events to create connection and belonging in every neighborhood. Our libraries are vibrant and welcoming spaces where people can come not only to read, but to research, access technology, and gather with neighbors. They widely offer free meeting rooms, space for community groups, classes, and our civic life. This proposal gives additional resources to make our libraries safer, cleaner, and even more welcoming. Seattle libraries are a mix of historic and modern architecture, but every branch is now at least 20 years old. 6 are historic Carnegie libraries, well over 100 years old. This levy will help to maintain aging heating and cooling systems, roofs, elevators, and escalators so they remain safe and accessible for decades to come. That's why I'm proposing additional investment for upgrading and maintaining library infrastructure, including $13 million to improve earthquake safety at the historic Columbia City branch, $10 million for critical and deferred maintenance needs, and $5.9 million for regular maintenance and custodial needs. I'm also proposing an additional investment of $7.7 million for security and emergency preparedness staffing and upgraded systems. In addition to these investments, we are also working to pursue additional funding opportunities for our public libraries. Currently, we are working to pursue a federal earmark to improve elevator and escalator reliability at the world-renowned Central Library, where we are today, which is 22 years old, if you can believe that. Many thanks to Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal for her work helping us to move this forward. But our libraries are not just physical spaces, they are digital as well. The Seattle Public Library provides access to digital books, digital history collections, online newspapers and magazines, streaming media, and more. They also provide free access to public computers and high-speed Wi-Fi. And the library knows all too well, following a serious ransomware attack in 2024, safety and security is a concern for our digital spaces too. When we manage sensitive customer data and provide open, free, and public access to technologies, investments must be made in our digital infrastructure. That's why I'm proposing a $12.4 million investment in cybersecurity enhancements, enterprise systems, device maintenance, and capital IT network infrastructure to help keep our virtual library systems and spaces up to date, safe, and secure. I believe each of these new investments are critical to ensure a strong library system for years to come, and I look forward to council deliberations on this proposal. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Wilson. It's so nice to be here in support of our amazing libraries, and I was just taking a minute to take in this beautiful building. As chair of the Seattle Council's Libraries Education and Neighborhoods Committee, I am so honored and so pleased to be here today to celebrate transmittal of the 2026 Seattle Public Library Levy. As you know, and as the mayor said, Seattle is a city of readers. People here belong to more than one book club at the same time. We are a UNESCO designated city of literature. Some people think it might be hard to live in such a rainy city, but we know that rain is just a good opportunity to stay inside and curl up with a good book. And we love our libraries. They are places of imagination and engagement, and each library is a reflection of its neighborhood. Seattleites have described their branches as third places, centers of learning and community, and safe spaces that they overwhelmingly describe as worth the investment. This $410 million levy proposal affirms Seattle Public Library's reputation as a world-class library system. Just like the 2019 levy, the largest investments will uphold Seattle Public Library's commitment to open hours and access to books in the format that readers want, whether that be old school paper pages like I like, or ebooks to download like my spouse and kids do. With this new levy, we will continue to deliver programming that people value, everything from story time and play and learn for kids to retirement planning for seniors. We will continue to grow the world languages and English as a second language collections with materials ranging from Spanish and Chinese to Ukrainian, Pashto, and Dari, and many in between. As someone whose first language is Spanish, I truly appreciate the ability to get materials in the language that you speak. We will take care of our aging buildings, making them last as far into the future as possible, and branches will continue to be well-maintained and welcoming to all. Libraries will continue to be a technology resource for those who need access to computers, laptops, and printers for homework or job hunting, or to access city services. The library also provides Wi-Fi hotspots for kids, families, seniors, and community groups who don't have access to the internet. When I was a kid growing up in a low-income, not very safe neighborhood in the Bronx, our local library was the only place my mother would let me go alone. At the library, I felt safe. Spending time among the stacks of books turned me into a lifelong reader and lover of books. I cherish those memories, and I know I am not alone. Our community members, our kids and seniors, and everyone in between feel the same way about their libraries. I want to thank Mayor Wilson, Board President Mehdi, Chief Librarian Fay, the mayor's team, especially Deputy Mayor Surratt and Central Budget Office Director Panucci, CBO staff, and everyone on the Seattle Public Library team for partnering with me to deliver this levy package. I also want to thank my council colleagues for sharing their levy priorities with me. We are all aligned, as you could hear from the mayor's speech and even my own speech, and we did not coordinate. But this is how much we all are aligned and care so much about our libraries. We want to continue the great work that our libraries are doing, including open hours, because that's what people have told us they care about. Anytime we work together on projects like this, the city has better outcomes, and I am so proud to be part of this project. I look forward to moving this proposal quickly to council to get this deadline on the ballot for voters to vote on in August. Thank you so much for having me here, and also a special shout out to all the library board members here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rivera, for your words of support. Thank you, Mayor Wilson, for this library levy proposal. And thanks to our library board members, including Board President Yazmin Mehdi, Dr. Tali Hairston, Faith Pettis, and Ron Chu. I look forward to working with each of you through Council's public process to ensure the 2026 library levy is responsive to Seattle's needs. Libraries mean many things to many people in our community. Some libraries are a place to pick up their books or browse our stacks for their next read. To others, libraries are third spaces away from home or work, where they can gather to collaborate with colleagues, chat with their book club friends, design and print a flyer for a community event, spend time with their children on a Saturday morning, practice a dance routine in one of our meeting rooms, or sit quietly and read the Sunday paper. Others use the library as centers for collaborative learning, taking in words of wisdom from their new favorite author, or participating in a class to learn new information or a new skill or a new language. And still others need libraries as a safe place to stay warm or dry during inclement weather, or to get help finding lifeline services through our referral support, including access to affordable housing, medical care, transportation, and much more. At our libraries, patrons see signs that welcome them with the phrase, "Everyone belongs at the library." We welcome and provide support for all our patrons, no matter your age, ability, information need, or background, and with no purchase required. Libraries are powered by 700 dedicated staff, hundreds of partner organizations, including our support networks, coordinated by the Seattle Public Library Foundation and the Friends of the Library, and almost 300 active community volunteers. And as Mayor Wilson said, libraries need our support, not just financial, but moral and legislative support as well. In my 43 years in library service, I've never seen libraries, books, information, and knowledge more under attack in the United States than we've seen in the last few years. Those who seek to control information and stifle free and informed thinking see libraries and books as a threat, but not here in Seattle. In Seattle, residents tell us they see libraries as essential. They see libraries as not just a nice to have, but a must have. This levy just won't fund libraries. It will preserve and nurture the values Seattle holds most dear, the values that set us apart as a city of readers, free thinkers, lifelong learners, and includers, not dividers. With the mayor's proposed investment in library hours, collections, programs, technology, and buildings, the Seattle Public Library can continue our important work of providing free access to books and to 27 safe public spaces that welcome everyone, enriching lives and empowering them to achieve their goals, and supporting community literacy outcomes, including reading literacy, financial literacy, digital literacy, and more. With this funding, we can increase our early learning and student support offerings through more programs like after-school homework help or Kaleidoscope Play and Learn for children ages 0 to 5. With the mayor's proposed investment in capital infrastructure, we can make good on our commitment to improve earthquake safety at our historic Carnegies with a renovation and seismic retrofit of the Columbia branch. We can modernize aging library spaces to better meet our current needs and our future needs. And with the mayor's proposed investment in cybersecurity and networking resources, we can keep our IT infrastructure up to date, and most importantly, secure. But with the proposed levy, Seattle has also the opportunity to further invest in its own values and civic well-being. I truly look forward to working toward this goal in continued partnership with Mayor Wilson, Councilmember Rivera, and all the Seattle City Council members. Now, for our last speaker, I'd like to introduce our board president, Yazmin Mehdi.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mayor Wilson. Thank you, Councilmember Rivera. The Board of Trustees is a 5-member volunteer board. We provide financial and policy oversight for the Seattle Public Library. As Tom already introduced, my colleagues Dr. Tally Hairston, Faith Pettis, and Ron Chu are here with me. We also have a 5th member, Carmen Ben-Dixon, who couldn't be here today. We take our role to govern the library seriously and conduct our work transparently. Among the many ways we do that is through regular oversight of the implementation of the current library levy. Every 3 months, Tom and his terrific staff provide detailed reports of how we are meeting our commitments to the voters. Despite significant challenges in this last levy period, which included COVID, ransomware attacks, and significant economic challenges, we've worked diligently to meet our levy commitments. But challenging times are exactly when it is most important to keep the vision of what we can be as our guiding star. And in no place and time is that as important as it is now. Libraries are the cornerstone of democracy and have historically been a key vehicle for helping people reach the American dream, including my own immigrant parents. My Mexican mother and Indian father used the library to learn about their adopted country. Library resources helped them instill a deep love of learning for me and my brother. And the library helped my family become part of our community, first in Renton and then in Bellevue. While attaining the American dream today in many ways seems impossible, we fail to lead when we fail to dream and invest in those dreams. When we invest in our libraries, we invest in all of our futures and the betterment and even strengthening of our community. Today, we're joined by our partners at the Seattle Public Library Foundation and the Friends of the Seattle Public Library. Will you guys wave? There they are. That's just a few of them. These folks understand this, and every day through the work they do to support the library, they demonstrate their commitment. They're not just among our key stakeholders, they are our partners in envisioning how libraries can help people. And they are our partners in making that a reality through their time and their treasure. We thank the mayor for seeing the value of investing in the future by putting forth this library levy, and we look forward to working with the City Council as they put their imprimatur on the levy itself. Thank you very much, and I'd like to turn this back over to the mayor and Tom.
Okay, I think we're taking some questions. Is that what's going on now? Yeah, okay. Okay, questions.
Mayor, how did you land on this size, and particularly in the context of conversations around Seattle's limited remaining levy cap space?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think this was a balancing act, right? Because we're aware that the city is coming up against, kind of nearing our levy lid, and there are other funding needs that we know are coming up in the coming years, so we didn't want to get too close to that lid and not give us room for other priorities. And really this was just a long back and forth conversation between my office and council members, especially Councilmember Rivera's office and the library. And we knew that we needed a comprehensive package that would meet the many needs that the library has, from collections to maintenance operations, capital needs, open hours. And so really it was just a lot of back and forth till we landed at that number number. There's no magic to a particular number, but that's where we landed, and I'm happy with where we landed.
And Mayor, right there as well, with this new levy, what would the, I guess, cost to the average homeowner be via property taxes or whatnot? What could the average voter be looking at here?
That's a good question that I should have the answer to, and I don't have it in my notes, so I wonder if anyone from my team can call it out. Do you have the answer? Okay, he's coming to my rescue.
Yes,
here.
it would be 19 cents is the addition per 1,000 of assessed value.
That's the addition to the status quo?
Yeah, let me get
Yeah.
look. Sorry, Mayor. It's 19 cents per 1,000 assessed value.
Can you tell us more about the expanded hours? The last levy kind of tried to push toward 9 p.m. closing times at many branches. Didn't quite get there because of the pandemic, but what is this levy intended to do?
So my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that this levy will maintain the current open hours and will not expand them. And I think part of that calculation, I think everyone would love to see expanded hours, right? Part of this calculation was realizing that over the last challenging years through the pandemic, the library has really cut to the bone in terms of staffing to support the hours that we do have open. And so this levy will increase staffing, but it will maintain the existing open hours. Is that a fair summary?
Correct. And the additional staffing in here will actually help with our capacity for programming. That is one of the things that we've experienced more of a hit since the pandemic, is not being able to produce as much. So we hope to be able to increase that level of programming our classes, any of the enrichment activities, empowerment activities that you can think of, everything from resume writing to how to start your business. So we'll be able to do more of that with the programmatic staffing that's in here. Sorry, Mayor.
One of the components of this proposed levy is addressing safety at library branches. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more to that and what you hear from SBL employees or library patrons about their concerns at safety at different branches, and how you're implementing that feedback into specific measures that may come as a result.
Sure. I've been with the library now 11 years. My previous role was the Director of Library Programs and Services. I oversaw all of the branches, the Central Library at that time. And when I came into the organization, we were looking at quite a few issues that were happening, but as the pandemic rolled in, we started seeing even more issues cropping up from all of the social safety net issues we saw collapsing during that period of time. And as we came out of it, things started getting better, slowly but surely. We've had a lot of work working with our staff, our security staff, in de-escalation skills. And I think that's one of the big focuses we've put in play in the last 5 years, especially post-pandemic, is to really work at keeping people successful in their use of the library. So the goal has been to have less exclusions by doing that work. And so when I look at numbers we had back in 2016 when I came in, we had almost 2,000 exclusions. We had less than 500, or right about 500 in 2025. So that work is doing what we expect, which is to get those exclusions down and have people be more successful in the library. Part of the pieces that we put in play as well is we have 2 social workers. They don't take a caseload, but they're also able to work with all of our staff in providing the best referrals for people. And that also helps interrupt any kind of crisis situation people may find themselves in when they come into our spaces.
I have a follow-up question. You touched on attacks that we've seen, on libraries. In the last year, we've seen the Trump administration try to pull funding from agencies like the IMLS, and I know SBL receives a very small portion of funding from that agency for programs, but I was wondering if you could speak to, whether this levy is also trying to fund programs that have historically been funded by the federal government, and you're trying to locally fund those programs.
So no, we're not trying to fund federally run programs with this levy. This would be programs that patrons have told us that they have an interest in, that we know there are needs within our city for. So it does not have anything to do with that. Now, can it be something that helps people with all of these issues that are confronting them as they face federal interaction? Yes. I mean, we do provide those services. They're basic information services. How can people get help? They may need assistance with immigration, with some of the things going on in the country right now. It might be, again, someone who wants to start a business. How do you start that business? How do you get loans? We have teams that work with that across the city. So those are the types of programs that we're looking at, things that are very relevant to the citizens of Seattle, and we're not actually trying to fund something the federal government is no longer doing.
So can I clarify another question? You said no operating hours expansion is planned during with this levy. That includes all branches, like the Capitol Hill branch is currently only open until 8 o'clock one night a week. Is that expected to continue with this new levy?
Currently, yes, that would be the case. Yes,
Thank you.
Councilmember.
Oh, Chief Fay, I just want to say, because open hours are so important to everyone, and I hear that too in my district, is that the 2019 levy actually expanded some open hours, and Chief Fay and I have spoken about this, and he gave more details on most of the branches have expanded open hours because of the 2019 levy. This maintains those open hours, so open hours won't be cut from the 2019 levy. They will be maintained with this levy, and that was important to all of us to make sure that we didn't have to cut any open hours, and we maintain that increase that was made in 2019.
And one of the things that we are working on in this particular levy as well is to look at technology solutions like kiosks, book kiosks that could be put in different locations in the city, and that will also allow us to kind of extend that access. Those might be in could be in parks and rec centers.
Switch by Yellow Drop-In on level 3 from 1 to 3 o'clock for snacks, crafts, games, and resources.
As you
Join us at the end of the orange carpet.
As you can hear, we have programs going on all day long, so announcing one of our programs. But yes, with these other technologies like book lockers, kiosks, those are the types of things that we can extend our reach and provide more access through the city.
Third of the library's budget, and I think that's true for SDOT as well. You know, my understanding is levies were sort of originally intended as additive on top of the city's general fund covering basic functions. Are we getting into a trap where we're depending on these levies to cover the basic operations of a department like the libraries that should typically just be funded by the general fund?
Yeah, I mean, with this levy, the additional funding over and above baseline is all going directly to the libraries as opposed to increasing dependence on the levy. So I think what we saw like last year, for example, with the FEP levy, right, there was some supplantation happening so that the additional money raised through the levy, part of that was actually supplanting general fund money that had been used for that purpose. We're not doing that in this case. So, I mean, yes, what the trend that you're pointing out is something that has happened. We're not deepening that trend with this levy. We are increasing investment in the libraries through the additional money in the levy.
Mayor, I don't want to step on anybody's levy questions, but I have a question on a related topic. We at the Seattle Times have been reporting in recent days about the city's 911 medical system, and there's a triage line, including questions about the city's contract with the ambulance company AMR, and concerns about the potential for patients to fall through the cracks of that system. What do you think about how the system is currently set up and how it's working, both contractually and on the ground?
I am intensely interested in this topic, and we're going to keep our discussion today focused on the library levy.
You mentioned many of the buildings are getting old. We haven't built a new library in about 20 years. The Libraries for All levy is about 20 years old. What's the long-term vision for a growing city, adding neighborhood centers, adding urban centers without really expanding the number of libraries?
I don't know if you want to speak to the library's vision of expansion.
I can if you'd
Sure.
like, Mayor. So as we look at this initial levy, you've heard the focus on capital maintenance and some of those larger capital maintenance projects or improvement projects like seismic retrofits. It's really just a large maintenance project. And so as we start contemplating, to your point, what can we do to do those improvements? That could be improvements in current spaces. It could look to different types of facilities, new facilities down the road. We know to do that, we will have to look at additional measures other than a levy. We may look at capital bonds. We are very fortunate at the library to have a great fundraising partner in the Seattle Public Library Foundation, in Libraries for All. They were the private portion that helped raise additional funds to get the Libraries for All campaign to build all these spaces and to remodel all of them. So we would contemplate something like that in the future. But this first piece is really about getting our levy established so that we can maintain the services that we have been providing.
Everyone, you have time for one more question.
And Mayor, how confident are you that this levy will get passed given the rising costs throughout the city? Secondly, if it doesn't get passed, then how does the city plan on maintaining libraries moving forward if it doesn't have, this $410 million?
So, I mean, I will say that, as I mentioned in my remarks earlier, the 2019 levy was passed by 76% of Seattle voters. I think it's been said up here a number of times that Seattle is a city of readers. A large majority of Seattle residents have and use a library card, so I am very confident that Seattle residents support our libraries, will see the value of this investment, which is a renewal of an existing levy, something that people already have supported with their votes. So yeah, I am very confident and optimistic that voters will be really excited to support these additional investments in our library system.